Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday. If I can find the button I'm looking for here. It's Thursday. It's April the 14th, 2022. It's another Technical Alpha podcast. Almost forgot to put that tweet live, but we got it. It's a Technical Alpha podcast. Glad you could make it. Hope you had a great week. Got another good show lined up for you today. If it's your first time here, thank you for stopping by. Greatly appreciate it. Whether you're listening on the RSS feeds for the first time, or you're watching us here on Twitch or on YouTube, much appreciated giving us a shot. Movies, TV, games, dick analogies. Those three things are only tangentially related, but we make it work. And for at least an hour of your time each and every week. Before we get started with that, I have to ask the most important question of each week. Mr. Black, how was your week?
It's another week. Nothing out of the norm. Same old shit. Different pile.
Incredible. I have to ask this though. Is it the webcam that is making that now ancient King of Donair sweater pink, or is it actually so old that it has approached the color pink?
It's always been pink.
Really? I thought it was like it started like a red. I thought like it was
It's pink.
Oh,
it's
okay.
not like as bright a pink as it shows on the webcam, but it's
okay.
definitely pink.
I had it in my mind that it started red. I just thought it got so fucking faded because that shit's been around the block. Didn't you have that like the first time you went to Vegas or some shit? Isn't it like circa that era or?
No, I got this around 2016.
Why do I think it's so fucking old? I had it in my mind that it was like something that you got literally the first time you went down.
No, King of Donair gave me this. I did
Word?
I did like a little.
I thought it was a
promotional thing for them. No, man, no. They gave me. I
got all of this wrong. There's not one part of this entire sweater story that I have right so far. I don't remember you doing anything for them back then. That's funny.
Yeah, no. It was kind of spur of the moment thing. They, I had a UFC event coming up, and I had some friends coming over, and I had made a post on Instagram, and I tagged them in, and I'm like, "Yo, can you guys hook us up with some pizzas or some donairs or something?" And then the CEO said, "Yeah, sure. Come down to King of Donair there on Spring Garden." I went down there and we chatted for like an hour, had a donair, and then he gave me a bunch of free pizzas, coupons, a sweater, a hat, just a bunch of King of Donair stuff.
In a million years, if you told me that King of Donair even had merchandise just laying around on the off chance that they were going to hand that shit out, I would have never fucking guessed it.
It's a staple, man. When people come to the East Coast, they go to King of Donair.
Oh, I get that, but
It's like a touristy thing.
I think you have the only sweater I've ever seen for King of Donair. I don't think I've ever seen their merch like walking around, which is why I was surprised that you just said, "Oh yeah, he just pulled out like a sweater and a hat and pair of socks and like whatever else they had."
Yeah.
Like, I never associated them with that.
I took this down to, where did I take the sweater? I think I took it to the Dominican Republic one in like 2018.
Yeah.
And like sometimes at night it would get a little chilly, so I remember wearing this, and like the amount of people would be like, "Oh, King of Donair, you must be from the East Coast." It's like it's a conversational piece.
That's funny. That's awesome. There you go. There you go. So you did actually get hooked up with some pizzas and shit.
Yeah, they hooked up.
10 out of 10. I haven't had a King of Donair or anything in so long since they moved out, like down by where we used to live. I haven't had one since. I haven't, because you literally have to go to where you just mentioned. I think the next closest one is.
Yeah, there's one in Spring Garden and
down on Spring Garden, and then Pizza. Do they have one Pizza Corner?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so. Yes.
I think it's one of the like numerous places on Pizza Corner. Yeah. But there you go. Yeah, I haven't had it in a hot minute. And now like, I actually also think it's the last time, and this is how long it's been since I've had a proper donair. I think the last time I had a donair, and that wasn't like donair pizza, was when KOD was nearby. Like I haven't ordered a donair from another joint other than KOD. And now I kind of want one.
One.
So now I've said it out loud.
My stomach is like, hey, no.
So do you have to avoid like spice and stuff too? Like, is that also on the list?
I don't even know what to avoid at this point.
So you're just dodging everything.
I'm just dodging everything, man. Right now, I'm not eating gluten. I haven't been for like 2 months. It's helped, but anyway, we'll figure it out here soon. I got a dietitian. I got to go meet with some people there. I think next week. So
have you dropped? I know you would have dropped weight by changing your diet in general because you would probably been eating less.
At my heaviest, I was 192, which is big for me. And now I'm back down to 176, 177. Like 180 is kind of like where I typically like to be, but I'm also.
I mean, 177. I mean, you could not have a shit for a couple of days and you crack 180.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I could easily get down to 160. Like my frame can handle 160 pounds.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's just
most of your life was 160. Is just when the diet changes. That's why I was wondering, because if you drop gluten is a nefarious thing for people putting on weight with, and it's one of those things that everyone just not everyone, but lots of people in North America just crushed fucking gluten everything.
Yeah, I lost like 15 pounds in a month.
Like, you're here first. The secret to success: drop gluten. And away you go. Well, there you have it. My week was much the same as well. Just working at the house. Downstairs HVAC is completed. Everything is run. All of the hose is in place, and except for one panel that we can't put on yet until we run the HVAC control unit wire upstairs. We had to leave one panel open to get the run into the attic. Otherwise, everything else has been covered with gyprock now, and we started to mud and tape that stuff. And so downstairs is getting dangerously close to painting and flooring. Which will be nice. There was obviously not, other than HVAC, a lot to do downstairs. There was a fair amount, but not nearly as much as upstairs. And we're gonna work our way out and up. So once we get the HVAC in the attic done upstairs, we'll go back downstairs and we'll start doing the finish work. Close that wall up at the bottom of the stairs where it used to join with the laundry room where they shared it. Close that up so it's a complete unit at that point, and then just start working upstairs as we go, and round that corner. So the last couple of days I've been back to doing mudding and taping, which means my hand is back to feeling like that hand from the fucking Scary Movie 2. I come home from work and I'm like, grab my strong hand, because my right hand is fucked at the end of the, it's crazy how just doing like drywall like that, and you use your dominant hand like the whole day, because you're just holding the trough basically on your opposite side, and my hand's just dummied. So we're back to that. I did some of that yesterday and the day before, and we'll get that closer and closer. I swear to God, though, every time I say we're on the last bucket of drywall compound, we're not on the last bucket of drywall compound, like clockwork. I picked up mistakenly. Well, I didn't have a choice. They ran into the big ones when I was in there last, but I bought one of the smaller buckets, and because we knew we needed one, we knew we needed a little bit more. We didn't think we needed like the big, 45-pound bucket of fucking drywall compound. We're like, oh, we'll go for like the mini me. So we picked up one of those. And yesterday I'm doing like the second round on some of the inside the closet door seams, because it's not a doorway going in, it's just an arch. And the amount of drywall compound you put on a fucking end of a wall seam, it's like, it might as well be fucking 1/3 of a bucket. And so we went from, we have lots of compound, to we don't have any compound anymore. Yeah.
Rule number 1 of renovations: overbuy everything. And then it's so much easier to take shit back at the end that you don't use. Yes. Opposed to having to go to fucking Home Depot or Kent 5 or 6 times a week, because you're going to spend so much more in gas and time. I've been there and done that. I'll never make these mistakes again.
Yeah, when we first started, we bought because we were limited in space too, so we bought 2 of the big ones, and then we started buying them as we needed them. But at this point, I'm about to buy up the whole well, I know at this point we really don't need that much because we don't have much drywalling left, but all the same is true. And we did that for a lot of materials. Like, we overbought like fucking everything, especially things like drywall, where we don't have a truck anymore, so we had to get them to deliver the shit. So it was like, what do we think we need, and then add more, and then deal with the leftovers later on. But yeah, that was pretty much it. Just that. Continued playing some Skyrim. on my downtime just to get onto the stream and continue trucking on. My aunt, uncle, and one of my cousins, all of them the ones that are here in the city, caught the COVID in the last week, and so they've been working through that. Ben made it through not too bad, just had one real rough day, and then he describes it after the first rough day, which was like just his fever and everything was bad. Day one, got hit like a truck, like the worst cold in the world for the following like 3 days, and then it started to finally ease up. But my Uncle John, Jesus, that guy got hit by a fucking train. He said it was 3 days of fever where he was just delirious. He said they couldn't get his head off the pillow. His headache was so bad he couldn't lift his head off the pillow. He just laid in bed for 3 days, didn't sleep or anything. And then after that, now he's on to the bad cold side of things. And my aunt skipped that and went straight to the cold. So all over the place. But thankfully, nobody needed anything other than basically laying in bed and sleeping for 3 days straight. And they're
like 99.9% of
back.
people.
Yeah, back to it, which has been lovely news. It's been good stuff. Gaming news, Mr. Black. More great news for the old folks out there this week. It's been a banner year for old people in video games this week. Just absolutely killer. As Square Enix has trademarked Tactics Ogre Reborn. When's the last time you heard Tactics Ogre? It's been a hot minute. If you've even heard of it, some of you out there might even be saying, "What the fuck is Tactics Ogre?" Well, go look it up. It was during the same era as like the Final Fantasy Tactics, where every game had to have tactics in the title to let you know what type of game it was. And some people, and not a small number of people, actually think that Tactics Ogre was the superior tactics game. And many people have been hoping to have some sort of new game in that series or re-release. For ages. And good news, they trademarked it. Doesn't mean they're doing it right now, but it means they're thinking about it. They don't want somebody else to use the name. They're sitting on it. So it's entirely possible, given that they've been how they've been doing reworks and updates and new games and some of their other titles, that it could be coming through all the same. Next up, Epic Games and LEGO are coming together, Mr. Black, to make a kid-friendly and safe metaverse just in time for Kai to get on the LEGO Metaverse. Whatever that would look like, although I think it's pretty easy to tell. Honestly, if there was to be a metaverse, LEGO would probably be the one that makes the most fucking sense for kids. If you can actually physically build shit within some sort of world where you owned, like, your own little slice of land in there or some shit, and you're building your whatever in there, I can kind of, like, my brain can comprehend what that would look like. But they're pairing up with Epic Games to try and make this happen to be as kid-friendly as possible, because as we all know, as soon as you enter onto the internet, nothing is kid-friendly. And so the goal is find out a way to somehow make it kid-friendly. Now, there is, even though it's been, and this is an example of why they're probably going to be struggling to make it kid-friendly, we all know that the closest thing to, well, it's not even closest, it is a metaverse, is Roblox. And Roblox, if you're not in the know, which it's amazing how huge Roblox is, where many people don't even know what the fuck it is. Maybe they've heard of it. Maybe they saw like a meme clip on YouTube or some shit about Roblox, and then you find out it's one of the biggest fucking properties on the planet. And so they've had their own fair share of issues trying to keep it safe for kids, but I suspect that whatever offering Epic and LEGO come up with wouldn't be a far cry from something like a Roblox, perhaps with just more security measures in place to try and keep it relatively kid-friendly. But all the same, they are working together on that. And that comes shortly after an announcement, actually, that both Sony, which is not part of the LEGO deal, but Sony and LEGO's owners announced that they are making a combined investment of $2 billion, so $1 billion apiece, into Epic Games, which I think now moved Epic Games' valuation to $34.2 billion after that $2 billion investment. And so there's obviously, there's definitely some moves going on in the background for there that would support this move towards the metaverse. And credit to Epic Games as well, even though it's not in the sense that a Roblox is a metaverse, Fortnite is as freakishly close to a metaverse as you can get without being like what some people would define as a hard, like a Roblox type metaverse. I mean, they have concerts and shit in the game at this point, multiple of them, and real world events leaking into the game world. That's about as metaverse as you can get. And again, kids don't know what the fuck the metaverse is, but they're already using it. If they're on Roblox, even Minecraft is tangentially like a universe of that sort, like metaverse, and Fortnite as well. And those are three of some of the biggest properties on the face of the planet. So anything that Lego comes up with, the kids will just be on it and they won't think anything of it. And all the adults will be sitting here like me going, what the fuck is a metaverse? Stop trying to make metaverse happen. It's already here, Mark Zuckerberg. Speaking of metaverse, actually, before I move on to that, do you think Kai is going to be a metaverser? Do you think he's a Roblox kid, or do you think he's going to be like somebody that's big on that thing? Or are you going to try and steer him clear and keep him more on the non-metaverse track when he first gets introduced to games?
I don't even really know fully what the metaverse is at this point, man. So
that's just it. It's a word that everyone uses, and I think only a handful of people have a definition of what they really mean when they say what a metaverse is. Just a very nebulous fucking thing. I think pretty much everyone, whether they end up knowing that they're involved in one or not, is going to invariably be part of some sort of fucking metaverse thing in gaming moving forward. It's just kind of a matter of time. But yeah, speaking of metaverse, which is of course Meta being the new name for Facebook as they follow Google in trying not to get broken up by the FTC, has managed to do two incredibly Facebooky things. One, of course, as we discussed as part of that legal battle where I think it was coincidentally Epic going after Apple for the 30% App Store cut. Remember that legal meme that ended up dredging up dirty laundry for like 7 other fucking companies in the process, but they complained about that as well. Facebook was like, oh my god, why is Apple taking 30%? Well, now that Facebook is Meta, and they have their own metaverse that they're trying to shoehorn in. They've got Horizon Worlds, of course, and the Horizon World creators are going to be allowed to sell virtual assets within this metaverse. They announced that this week. However, there is a caveat, and that caveat is deep, and I can tell you it's a lot deeper than 30% that Apple would be taking off of their App Store. For example, specifically, Meta wants a 47.5% cut right off the top. I don't know why they didn't just say 50, but they went in at 47.5. And then that's on top of what the game or the metaverse game itself is also taking, which on its own is taking 17.5% off the top. For a grand total of get fucked, 65% is gone. Before taxes even hit you, anything else, you've already lost 65% of the sale. So the creator is left with 35% on the other end. And then, of course, if there's any transactional fees, depending on how they're getting paid out, and then their taxes and everything else, you might as well be paying them $0. But, I guess at the end of the day, they can say, hey, you're getting paid because we created the world, and now we're operating within it, and it's that whole argument all over again. But I do find it kind of funny that Facebook was bitching about 30% on Apple, and then they just outright go, hey, 47.5. Get fucked. Get fucked. Imagine doing anything. Can you, imagine this. Even if it was back in the day, in the Wild West times, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, and the YouTube and the Twitch era, and everything's coming up, and everyone's getting their contracts or whatever, people were salty about 50-50. Can you imagine walking in 65-35 in the favor of the platform? It would have been a shitstorm. People would have lost their minds. If in the beginning of content creation, it was the norm that the platform was getting the lion's share, maybe Meta gets away with this without some fire from creators. But since the baseline was 50-50, that was even way back when we first started, 50-50 was more or less where you walked into the door. There's no fucking way they're not going to catch some heat for trying to do a 65-35 to 65-35 split. That's kind of rough. So we'll see if that holds true and for how long, if the creators will put up with that stuff. And maybe, honestly, there's a chance that they're young enough and the creators that are working within the metaverse stuff aren't they don't know what's going on this side of content creation. Maybe they just see it as normal, and it just ends up being okay. But we'll wait and see, and if anything changes, I'll throw it in the news section when it pops up. Perhaps one of the most popular indie titles, Mr. Black. I don't know if you've played it or not, but Subnautica. Did you ever play a Subnautica?
I played a little bit, not much.
So they had the Below Zero expansion, which was supposed to be an expansion, then it became its own separate release after a while. But now they've announced, Unknown Worlds has announced that it's got the third in development now. And not only that, but they're looking to expand the team this time around, including a lead narrative designer, which I guess would hint at the possibility that the story will become further central to the experience alongside of just the survival and exploration. So like the story has kind of become more and more central. Like if you played the first Subnautica, it was mostly like every other survival game where your core thing is exploration and don't die. And then, you know, the story was there. You mostly had to like read shit or like listen to things. You were just piecing shit together, but it was a survival game. Second game, story was a little bit more forefront. And now it seems like now they're hiring like a brand new spanking narrative designer, so maybe it's going to be even more forefront to the experience at this point. And you know what? The last two games were pretty good, so a third one, I'll probably check it out when it lands. Definitely one of the more unique takes on the survival game experience, if only because the story seems to be so much more in the forefront. You know, when you play Minecraft or any of the other ones, the story is like just this. It might be there, sort of, maybe. But nobody really gives a fuck. You're just there building shit and surviving and killing enemies as they show up. So it's a bit of a different take on that whole deal. Tearing down the video game community. Tearing them asunder this week, Mr. Black. And I don't know which side of the fence you land on when it comes to this series. Okay. But we'll find out here in a moment. Kingdom Hearts 4 was announced this week. And more or less a surprise, as I don't think anyone was expecting to hear an announcement about that, let alone get a trailer. But they dropped that this week, and immediately everyone on Twitter was like, oh my fucking god, let this series die, or, holy shit, yes, I just came thrice. That was the only two takes on Twitter. There was no one in the middle. It was either you want Nomura to retire from making these games, or you want even more belt buckles on every character that you can possibly fucking have at your disposal. And that was, again, announced this week. We had a trailer, and it was a much more mature, I don't know if you saw the trailer on your timeline pop up, even in clips, but a much more mature-looking version. A little less cartoony this time around. A little more edgy, I suppose you could use that word, even though it's overused sometimes, but I definitely would say that this, you know, would fall into that category of a little bit more edgier than the last. And then the only other thing that I could say is that, remember that, back when they were going to do Final Fantasy 15, it was going to be 13 verses. Mm-hmm. I think this is essentially Nomura saying, I've wanted to make 13 verses for like nearly a decade. Let's just take Kingdom Hearts and make it 13 verses. Because it looks so much like the early stuff that we saw from 13 verses. And so yeah, that popped up. Lots of people already dissecting every fucking frame of that trailer, find out what's in there. There's already some speculation that Star Wars will be involved because it looked like I think it was like an AT, I don't know if it was an AT-AT or an ATST footprint in the jungle floor in one scene. So like, oh, Star Wars. As we all know, Disney now encompasses the Star Wars properties, and so perhaps we do get, I don't even know, like I can't even fathom. We'd have Final Fantasy characters X, Disney characters, traditional Disney characters X, Star Wars, like Luke Skywalker, Goofy, and fucking like Tifa Lockhart all like in the same scene at the same time. You know what? It's getting so obscure at this point, or so crazy. Fuck it, do it. Let's see it happen. I think you played through some of them. Like, was that during the pandemic? Like early on, I can't remember.
No, bro, this was years ago.
Was it really like a long time? Time means nothing to me now. But you decided to like, did you get through all of them or just the first couple?
First two.
And what was your takeaway after the first two Kingdom Hearts games? How did you feel about those games?
They were fine.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're fine. They're fun. It's a little out there. It's a little weird. But it's a fun game. Like there's a story there, but the story It's like a love story, but with Disney characters. I don't know.
Don't feel bad if you can't describe the story because
I
their
really
entire
Yeah.
podcast dedicated to attempting
Yeah,
to
I
describe
can't
that
really.
story.
It's honestly, it's just them with a cool core gameplay, and then they just threw a bunch of characters from popular. It's almost like the Smash Bros.
But a JRPG?
Disney. Yeah, JRPG. It works. I mean, it works.
Obviously it does, because they've sold a shitload of fucking copies, no matter how crazy the names were. There's one in that series specifically with the craziest name I think any video game's ever had. It's got like a fraction in it or some shit. Do you remember that one?
I don't know.
It's like somebody in chat will post the name of it, but it's like Kingdom Hearts fucking Tomorrowland's 9/16 plus 3/5 fucking director's cut 358 over 2 days. That's it. 358/2 days. Why? The fuck does that even mean? But anyway, I digress. Lots of people excited about that, for sure. And there you have it. You're gonna get it. And I don't know. I can't remember if they said a date. I think it was 2023, if anything. It's still a ways out one way or the other. So we'll have, I'm sure, more of that coming up. Maybe for the Summer Games Festival, maybe we'll see some more of that as we wait. After buying, this is not really game news, but I have to mention it because it's just hilarious and tech related to a degree. After buying 9% of Twitter last week, and then declining to join the board of directors after a background check was required of Elon Musk, he decided, you know what? I don't want a background check, but I still kind of want to be involved in this, so if I have to go through that, and I already own more than any individual person does, why don't I just buy the whole company? And so earlier today, the announcement came out that he was willing to personally buy out the entirety of Twitter for $54 a share, making the proposed buyout valued at roughly $43 billion. Because fucking why not? That's all I have in my notes. I don't even have an answer for what that would be. He even came out and said if they don't accept it, he's got a plan B. I don't know if he does have a plan B. Elon Musk has turned into the biggest fucking internet troll billionaire on the planet, so I don't know what his long game is here.
Elon Musk is a national treasure, and he should be protected at all means necessary, because
it's just crazy.
He's the type of guy that, like, you know, if you fuck with him and you turn that guy evil, like, he could be a legit Bond villain, and you just don't want to fuck with that. And as of right now, like, it seems like he's got a pure heart, and he's trying to just do good for the human race.
Which Twitter is definitely
on that side.
Definitely the avenue to take to secure the human race is to buy out Twitter. That is definitely where the $43 billion.
Well, I mean, Elon Musk is not a big fan of your traditional media. Like, he's not a fan of.
Not very many people with that much money are.
No,
unless you're Robert Murdoch or some shit.
It's all fake news, man.
Unless you own the
Fox
media,
News,
that is different.
Fake news, CNN, fake news. It's all just propaganda, bullshit, narrative, left and right wing.
And even if it's fake, they don't bother to
they don't care.
Fact check before they release it, because it's all about who gets out first.
That's because there's a bunch of sheep watching it, and they're like, bah, yeah, okay, yeah, bah.
24-hour news networks, a big problem.
Yeah, so I think Elon Musk wants to create his own social media platform, and instead of creating one, I guess you could just buy Twitter and change it to whatever it is that you want to change it to.
That's true.
And if it doesn't work, if he's got a plan B, okay, but I think he's going to own a massive media company, and he's going to put the truth out there, and it's going to have a massive following. Massive.
Well, whatever, I think that's ultimately the plan. Like, in my mind, when I thought about it, I was like, okay, do I really think Elon Musk wants to buy Twitter? No, I actually don't think he wants to buy Twitter. I think Elon Musk is hedging his bets in a couple of places right now. He already buys, because in what world do you, order of operations, buy 9% of the company, by far the largest stake, twice that of Jack Dorsey?
Well, he wanted a seat on the table.
Yeah, and
that's why he bought so much.
Yeah, but then he declined because he didn't want a background check. So now his plan is, okay, well, if I say that I'll offer this, it's a win-win situation for him, right? He gets to wait and see. What does the stock price do on that news? How does that pan out? Right? He's already gotten sued by the SEC, but he doesn't care because he's the richest man on the planet now. So, like, they'd have to sue him for, like incalculable amounts of money if they even knew that he was manipulating stock price after having bought 9% in the company. So he either does this and they accept, and it's a W for him because it means that he has a social media platform in which he doesn't have to build from the ground up, already has a huge user base, and he can now do, as you said, with whatever he wants to do with it and make it as he wants to. The backup plan to that would be they decline. He's got $9 billion in the company, which means he then can go out and spend the other $43 billion he was just willing to spend on Twitter, build a new platform, push that platform, and even if that doesn't pan out, he still has 9% in the competing company of whatever platform he puts out. So it's a giant hedged bet on all sides, and there's really not any losing for him in this instance. So I'll be interested to see if they accept that or not. I don't know, but you know what? Like Elon Musk. You know what dawned on me? They did the Texas Gigafactory opening here. I think it was last week. I want to say it was within the last week or so. And there's video of the they threw like the big event or whatever when they opened the factory. And I swear to God, if you haven't seen it, and you still remember the opening scenes from like Iron Man, if you want to see him literally one-to-one recreate the Tony Stark entrance in Iron Man, it's literally the same entrance. He gets it. He's got his. Stark, man. He's literally he's just fucking taking on the Tony Stark persona. He drives in his convertible Tesla. Everyone is standing around like screaming and cheering at Elon Musk entering the room in his Tesla. He drives up on stage. He gets out of his car. He walks over. He does like the hands up thing, and everyone's just clapping. And I swear to God, you could one-to-one map that shit to the fucking Tony Stark entrance in Iron Man. So it's just he's clearly a little bit fucking crazy, but you have to be to do what he does. And like you said, we're somewhere between benevolent trillionaire, because I think he's the first trillionaire if he lives long enough. He's definitely the first one going to hit it. So he's either benevolent or he turns into a fucking Bond villain. That's the two routes. And the rest of the Western world, because in reality there are people with his kind of money in various degrees in other countries like in China and whatnot. But into the Western world, it's basically just wait and see what does Elon Musk do, because he's going to move the needle for like the entire Western hemisphere based on whatever he wakes up in the morning after his 3.5 hour sleep and decides what he wants to do for the day. So we'll see. We'll see if he buys out Twitter. If he does, bets on an edit button coming through even faster, because apparently Twitter's working on it. Is it coming even faster if he shows up? Are we getting an even faster edit button, Mr. Black?
Yeah. There's gonna be. He already put out a big long list of stuff that he wanted to do.
He did.
So he's gonna do it. I mean, he's one of the richest, most powerful people in the world.
Did you see the interaction between him?
Twitter, he's gonna buy it if he wants it. Like if he really wants Twitter, he'll get it. He really wants it. Did
you see the interaction between him and I can't remember if it was who was it? Was it Bezos on Twitter? I can't remember, but the interaction was like Elon was like tweeted like, I'm considering turning the entirety of Twitter's headquarters into a homeless shelter because nobody apparently goes to the headquarters. There. And Jeff Bezos like fucking responded, and I like just the fact that those two were like, it was almost like watching a movie breaking the fourth wall. You know what I mean? Like you're watching these two talk to each other on Twitter about like this fucking. It was almost surreal to me to see that interaction. It's just, and it was like it's just two insanely wealthy dudes memeing about maybe we just fuck around and turn one of the largest social media platforms into a fucking homeless shelter. It was such a weird fucking interaction. It's just, the world is crazy, man. The world is crazy. But we'll see what he decides to inevitably do should they actually accept that offer, which I believe that per share offer is quite a bit of a percentage above the current stock price. So it's not, he didn't lowball them, that's for sure. Where was I in here? Battlefield 2042. Talking about stocks going in the opposite direction, Mr. Black. Battlefield 2042 player count falls below 2042 as it dropped below 1,000 players for the first time this week. And now it definitely makes sense. If it didn't already, it definitely makes sense as to why EA is already talking about the next game. Let's forget that 2042 happened. It never existed. Just like lots of people want to pretend Geely didn't exist. Unfortunately, it did. Thankfully, we didn't get a sequel. But we're going to get a sequel for whatever Battlefield 2042 was. And hopefully it's better than whatever that shit show turned out to be. And you know what? Here's a question for you, Mr. Black. Is the next Battlefield game free to play?
Yes. It absolutely is.
They're not going to double down on that strategy.
Yeah, no, bro. That's gonna be their hook. Right at the very end of presentation.
And it's free.
And nobody's gonna cheer because
it's expected at that point.
It's like, of course it's free. Did you not see what happened to the last one that we paid for? Like,
oh God. Well, there you go. As per CD Projekt Red's earnings report, here you go. Cyberpunk 2077 has sold to date over 18 million copies, Mr. Black, which would be way more impressive. I mean, it's an impressive number on its own. But it would be way more impressive if it wasn't for the fact that 14 of those 18 million were launch sales, which means that all of the shit that the game was at launch and continues to more or less be destroyed its long tail sales potential, massacred it. And if you want a good example of that, Witcher 3 has sold 40 million copies to date. And Cyberpunk had a lot more fucking hype behind it than The Witcher 3. So that's, 18 million is not a small number. You don't sneeze at 18 million, but it definitely does make you think, what if they had delayed this game just a little bit longer, wasn't a fucking dumpster fire, maybe launched as it is now, how many fucking copies of that game sells? Probably a lot more than 18 million at the end of the day. They also, in that earnings report, it's mentioned that they are currently working on multiple unannounced projects. And earlier this week, I think as well, the CEO talked about how they are still totally, definitely, we promise guys, working on the DLC stuff for Cyberpunk 2077. Although I think they've wisely stopped posting those eye-bleeding yellow update cards on social media with increasingly or decreasingly, I should say, detailed roadmaps. I think they stopped doing that. I think they figured out the roadmap thing just wasn't working out. We just need to say, yeah, it's coming. We don't know when, but we're still totally doing it. The crazy bastards, Mr. Black, they did it again. Hello Games. Another free update to No Man's Sky. This time it's called Outlaws. The update overhauls space combat, adds pirates, smuggling, squadrons where you can recruit and upgrade your own wingmen. So it's your own ship, plus you can recruit other wingmen and upgrade their ships that are AI controlled. So now you have like your entire own squadron that you can do all of these new missions and stuff with out in space. Also, it includes their first new ship type since 2020, and that's the Solar Starship, which of course makes sense because this whole thing is about pirates and stuff. And so instead of like the sails of a ship on the sea, you get your solar sails, and so it's a new class of ship with a bunch of variants for people to unlock and gather like previous ships. Also this week, Sean Murray bravely, and I say bravely, I can underscore that word 4 or 5 times, bravely said that the team has had a new project in the works that's as ambitious as No Man's Sky, and that it would seem impossible even with a 1,000-person team. And I have in here in my notes is that I think everyone will just wait and see how this one pans out after the No Man's Sky launch, because clearly they've made good on No Man's Sky, but as far as hyping a game up before release, they're going to have to prove themselves on this one because the No Man's Sky one wasn't it. However, I will say this. Whenever that does eventually come out, because No Man's Sky was such a huge success for them eventually, it will be interesting to see how they choose to release the game because they won't have... I'm assuming they're not going to sell out to like Sony or Microsoft for like a timed exclusive thing, which was what moved their time frame forward with the original launch of of No Man's Sky and famously fucked them as hard as humanly possible when the game came out. If they don't have that, well, now they don't have anything to fall back on. So Sean's going to have to maybe be a little bit more guarded. Let's not throw around so much hyperbole this time, Sean. All right, we learned the first time. Let's keep that close to the chest and make something great. But you know what? After all the things they did with No Man's Sky, if they're telling me that they're working on something that's as ambitious, I'm at least interested in what the fuck it is. I at least want to know what it is. And so we'll wait and see for more information when that pops up. And that's all we got for gaming news, Mr. Black, which means it's time for you to give us the lowdown on how to keep ourselves safe in the era of an Elon Musk-owned Twitter. What do we got?
Well, you're going to want to get yourself NordVPN. Get yourself a virtual private network. Go to nordvpn.com/OTT. Use the promo code OTT. Get a massive discount plus a bonus month when you get that subscription. You can stay safe, stay anonymous when you're at your house, public Wi-Fi, traveling. Use it on your phone, your Mac, your PC, your laptop. Hook it up to your smart TV, your router, whatever it is, on the go. And like I said before, it's a click of a button. My dad uses NordVPN. I use NordVPN on the regular. Shit, if there's something on Netflix, I'm like, man, US Netflix got this show. We ain't got it. I'm one click away from unlocking that. All right? You can do that too. All right? Plus, you can stay safe with their new threat protection that you can get on their desktop app. You don't even have to be hooked up to a VPN. You just got to have that what is that? I guess that, what would I call it? Ability enabled. All right. Once you click the enable button, it'll make it so that when you're just searching the internet, a lot of people don't know this, but there's a lot of stuff, a lot of malware and different things that can track what sites you're going to, the things that you're interested in. They can build profiles on you, et cetera, et cetera. Keep them off your back with NordVPN. All right. So go ahead, pick it up. You're going to support yourself, support the stream, and the sponsor that supports what we do. Link is in the description below if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you want to support directly, you can go to patreon.com/legtv. Throw money at the screen. Do it. And that's it.
Now it's time for
movies and TV.
Will Smith officially banned, Mr. Black. Not long after we ended our podcast, actually, the news dropped last week. Officially banned from attending the Oscars for the next 10 years. He can, of course, still be nominated and win awards moving forward, but won't be allowed to attend the ceremony, which some comedians joked about being, well, that's more or less like being told you don't have to go to work for the next 10 years because that's just boring as fuck. He already got his award, so I guess like at that point, like fucking, all right, well, 10 years, they might as well have just made it indefinite at that point. But there you have it. That's their decision. 10 years from the Academy Awards for Mr. Smith. And again, man, she ain't worth it, Will. Get the fuck... Get out! Get out of there! Run! Run! Shit, that video resurfaced that's like, I think, a couple years old where it was like Jada promoting her Red Table shit. And she just started randomly recording as they're like standing in their home, and like points the camera at Will or some shit, and starts talking about how I think it's some girl like Esther or Esther something was like had helped them with their relationship, whatever. And Will just like flat out like, look, you can't just point a camera at me in my own home. The social media is my bread and butter. We gotta like, we can't just be doing this shit. And he like there's a microsecond where he looks like the saddest human being on earth. where like the facade dropped for like 0.2 seconds, and she turns around, she's like, see what I'm still dealing with over here, like Esther, whatever the fuck her name is. And I was like, oh my god, this man just asked you to give him boundaries, and your response to boundaries were, fuck your boundaries, I'm posting this shit on social media. Get out, Will!
Run!
Get out! Whatever you have to do, get the fuck out of there, please.
Your kids are grown now. Run.
Yes, your kids don't need that shit anymore.
No.
They're still a little weird, but they don't need that shit anymore. You know, you can get out
I'd
now.
be pretty fucking weird too if I was a Smith.
Dude, I'd be fucking
Like, holy shit.
I'd be capitalizing the first word of every letter on my Twitter post too if I was in that family. It's the way it is. Warner Bros. And Discovery's merger is complete, Mr. Black. The $43 billion deal wrapped up this last week, properly ending the short-lived partnership between AT&T and Time Warner. And so that is officially done. No more of the paperworks to go with there. Be interesting to see what the first few moves there are going to be after that merger is now complete. Has there been any whisperings about what that merger is going to lead to, Mr. Black? Has anything been on talked about as to what kind of properties could be getting tossed around?
No, I haven't even looked much into this, to be honest. It's kind of weird, but
well, there you go.
See what happens.
We'll see what happens. Vin Diesel, in a truly Vin Diesel sounding post on Instagram. I don't know if you read that post, Mr. Black, but Vin Diesel is turning into quite an interesting spiritual leader on Instagram, as it seems. Announced that somebody else is joining the family for Fast and the Furious 10, and that somebody is none other than our very own and favorite Captain Marvel, Brie Larson. Woo! Brie Larson! Let's
Yay.
go!
Pumped.
Join the family! And of course, he actually used the term, welcome to the family, because it's just leaning hard into that shit now.
Why not? Why not?
Leaning hard into that shit. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 absolutely crushed it and had the best opening weekend at $71 million domestic. Also making it the best opening weekend of any video game movie ever, which is not a high bar to hit. But hell, they smashed the shit out of it by I think something like $20 million. And so good on them. They've turned that little movie series into quite a winner. It'll be fun to see what the kind of long term.
I think it's done really well because it's like a kids movie, and it's not really.
But it could have gone so wrong, Mr. Black. Like it was looking like it was going to go wrong, and then they pulled that shit out of the depths.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, I even think if they would have released the older version, like the first version, I still think it would have done all right, just from the nature of the movie. Like kids aren't really that. Obviously, them switching it up and making it better was genius, and I wouldn't be surprised if somebody in marketing knew about this the whole time, and this was the plan. They were going to release what it looked like, and then have people go crazy, and then say, "Oh, I'm listening to the fans, and we're going to make this better." Like that would be some next level shit.
Galaxy brain.
Yeah, pretty incredible. Because it's almost like they got to a certain render, and then they're like, "Okay, let's just show them this," and then people were like, "What the fuck?" And they're like, "Yeah, we've listened to you. Now it looks like this," and they're like. Oh wow, this is amazing! And then they get Idris Elba, they got Jim Carrey. They really just won over the adults, and they already had the kids. And if the adults are excited to take the kids, it's even better.
And that's what I was about to say. I think that while it would have probably done pretty well on its own, even if they had gone the original route, having pulled it out, whether it was intentional or not, getting it to where it is now, it's attracting the adults that played Sonic as a kid. Even if they're not bringing kids to the theater, they're going to go see this movie. And that is obviously, nostalgia is a powerful fucking drug. You'll go watch or play shit just based on nostalgia, but it has to be done right. And they've done a lot right now in terms of making the right references in the right ways, getting the people involved. And we are in that age group where, like Kai is like danger close to being of the age that you would have brought him to see that movie kind of thing. So I think, yeah, they're going to do quite well. I can't wait to see what the total number ends up being at the end of all this, see how it tracks in the long term. But for now, tell you what, they're hitting it hard and doing well. And this is actually also another little side note here. This is the biggest opening weekend for a Jim Carrey movie. Who would have thought Jim Carrey going to be going in hard with Sonic 2 as his biggest opening weekend? But here we are, doing well, setting records for everyone involved. Another comedian in the band of brothers passed away this week in Gilbert Gottfried, who passed away after a long battle with an illness at only age 67. It was unfortunate to see that, you know, him and Bob Saget and Norm Macdonald were like all really close friends, and they're all gone inside of a calendar year of one another. And none of them were old. Norm was fighting cancer. I think Bob, it was discovered it was a heart-related thing that took him in his sleep or something, or what happened there? Or an aneurysm or something?
No, I think I could be wrong, but from what I read is he hit his head, and then his brain was his brain bled or something.
Oh, okay.
Like he hit his head and then he went to sleep and never and didn't wake up.
Oh, okay.
And I think he cracked it like on
a table or some shit.
I think he cracked it like off the bedpost or a closet or something. Like like in the room, he hit his head, and then went to sleep and then didn't wake up.
That's even worse. That's the fucking terrible way to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, all three of those gentlemen, all gone and performing incredibly vulgar and hilarious sets upstairs now. I went back and was watching sort of some of my favorite Gilbert Gottfried things. Of course, some of the more recent stuff, like him reciting pages out of the 50 Shades of Grey, is some of the best fucking voiceover of any book ever done. Also watching him on a show that I watched a lot when I was younger, Hollywood Squares, back in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. He was by far the best part of that entire show, the Gilbert Gottfried Square, every time. He had a banger, a one-liner for every fucking question that show threw his way. And there was the famous, I actually was telling people on Twitter, and a lot of people, I was surprised how many, well, I shouldn't be, maybe. It's not like this would have been a reference a lot of people got. But in live TV days, when the You Fool thing came around, that wasn't something that I just, like, the way in which I said it and the repetitive nature of me saying it wasn't something that I just came up with off the top of my head. I'm not fucking smart enough that shit to make anything funny for that long. It was something that was based off of a Hollywood Squares episode, and it's the one I posted on Twitter this week when they announced his passing, where it was an entire episode of Hollywood Square where they had one game. Both contestants had 4 squares, so the only way to win was to win the 5th and final square, and that was Gilbert Gottfried. He was the only one left on the board, and they went the entire fucking 22 minutes of television for that episode, where neither of the contestants could tell if he was lying or telling the truth the whole fucking time. And every time they fucked up, he'd scream, "You fool!" every single time. And it got to the point where other people, Whoopi and Penn and Teller, everyone was screaming, "You fool!" at the end of every time they fuck it up. And that's where "You fool" comes from originally. And so that was a memory that cropped up, because even I forgot where I had originated that whole fucking meme from. And there you have it. And of course he was, what was his character in Aladdin, Iago and whatnot. Such a voice. It was even rumored for a long time. People were trying to figure out, is that actually his voice, or is he just putting on a voice? And there's famously a clip of audio of him leaving a message, apparently, allegedly, it's him, leaving a message on somebody's phone using his would-be regular voice. And it's still like this myth. Like, was that really Gilbert? Has he really been trolling us for fucking 40 years? Are we never going to know whether or not that was Gilbert's actual voice? But yeah, there you go. A legend, all the same. And he passed away, sadly. I didn't even know he was battling a disease, and not a clue. Which often seems to be the way that these things have been going lately. I had no idea they were battling these things up. There you go. Were you? I'm not going to assume that you were a Gilbert Gottfried fan, but I'm sure you.
No, I mean, I know of him, and I enjoyed some of his work and stuff for sure.
Yeah. For the really old folks out there, and specifically the really old Canadian folks, and if I was to make an assumption here, and I'll confirm with Mr. Black here shortly, for the really old white Canadian folks, the emphasis on that H in there, white. Kids in the Hall is back for a 6th season on Amazon Prime, starting on May 13th, as it was announced this week in a trailer. And they had all sorts of the old characters that you would have seen them do way back in the day, and the whole shtick of the trailer was that, like, their brand of comedy and what they chose to talk about, and you know, the political and social zeitgeist that they always drew from to do their comedy routines. And they were very I guess, again, I hate to use this word so often in the podcast, but edgy, I guess, would be the way to describe them to a degree. Like smart edgy.
Everything's edgy these days,
yeah,
right?
But like,
you can't make a joke about anything these days without being edgy, because somebody's getting offended.
Which was the joke of this entire trailer, was like, it was them with the would-be Amazon, you know, not CEO, but like a manager at Amazon, and like, so what are we allowed to do, and what are we not allowed to do? And then it was like cutting to every clip of like them doing the polar opposite of whatever they were supposedly not supposed to do, because they don't want to fuck up Amazon's reputation, of course. So all the same, there you go. If you were a fan of the Kids in the Hall back in the day, congratulations for making it over the age of 85, and also being white and Canadian. And if you've never seen the Kids in the Hall, and you kind of like, I would describe them as like really intelligent, but like esoteric humor that probably, despite how popular they were in Canada, and they were very over in Canada, probably about 15% of the people that watch Kids in the Hall will even understand what they're trying to fucking joke about. They're very, very esoteric. It's like if you took like Monty Python and then
Like
made them
Park Boys,
Canadian,
you know?
or some
It's
shit.
Like a very
It's similar, but like
type of
less
humor.
poop jokes.
Yeah.
But it's very specific, for sure, for sure. Don't go in thinking, oh, Canadian humor, it's Letterkenny. It's not going to be Letterkenny. It's not going to be quite like that. But either way, there you go. They're coming back. Bunch of old guys. You know, they didn't age terribly. A lot of them look pretty similar, just like gray hair. They've actually managed to age relatively well. So props to the boys. And that's all I've got, unless you've got some other movie news that has come across your feed this week.
Nothing.
Did you see that there's a new dumpster fire? Em refuses to watch this dumpster fire on Netflix, by the way. It's the
Ultimatum?
The Ultimatum. She
I
refuses.
watched it. We're already done. We're already done, man.
Okay, what was your take? Because when I watched it, I was like, this is basically just Temptation Island, but without the island.
No, it's nothing. It's nothing like Temptation Island, man. Temptation Island is at least 1,000 times better than this show.
Well, I don't mean in terms of good. I mean in terms of like, we're taking people that are on the verge of marriage and then like seeing if they'll take the bait kind of deal.
It's a much more tamed Temptation Island, but without like the thing is, okay, for the ones that don't know, basically there are couples that have been together. I think the longest couple that there was together was 2.5 years. But essentially, I think there's 5 couples. Some make it to the show. Some make it through the show. Some don't. That's all I'll say. But essentially, one of the people in the relationship is giving the ultimatum that I want to be married.
Yeah.
And to do this, what they do is there's 5 couples, 5 guys, 5 girls, and then they all date each other for a week. It's very open. So they date each other and then they see who's got the most chemistry. Then they choose who they want to go with. The other person has to accept. If they accept, then they go for 3 weeks and they live together like they would be married. While their significant other
3 weeks, god damn.
Yep, 3 weeks while their significant other also lives with them for 3 weeks. And then after the 3 weeks, they go back to the relationship for 3 weeks. And then at the end of that 3 weeks, they decide if they want to get married to the person they came with, get married with the person that they then met, or walk away from both and just be done. So that's that. The thing that I didn't really enjoy about the show, and I think it's its biggest weakness, is, and I get why they do it, they made it as real as possible. So as in, when they're living together for 3 weeks, they are quite literally living together like a married couple. It is controlled to a degree because they all stay in the same condominium building. So probably for the ease of filming and different things like that. But they go and do the regular jobs. So they go live their life. They go to work, they come home, they, do, if they're in school, they go to school, whatever the case may be. They go and live their normal life. And you really only get to see their
They're
interactions.
eating dinner together, basically.
Exactly. You only get to see them in their apartment, either when they're going to bed, or they're arguing, or they're connecting, or they go on a date. That's all you see.
Which is the reality, I guess, of a married life. Like, really, like, if you think about it. But for show, like, what does that mean for a show kind of deal?
Exactly. So, like, and you could tell while you're watching the show, they talk about things that isn't seen on camera. So, like, there are times where, like, people would go out with other people, like other girls or other guys, because they're not that necessarily interested in the person that they chose.
Other contestants, or like just or just people in the population that are nearby?
Regular ass people. They'll go to the club and they'll
Oh,
hook
okay.
up,
I thought you meant like other contestants. They were like also like dipping in that.
No. And they also can communicate with each other, but you don't really see it. So it's a little bit too open. What's nice about Temptation Island is they're stuck on a resort with these people, and that's all you have. You don't get to go away from your work and be on this vacation or constantly drink 24/7, and so the drama there is drama in this show for sure. I mean, it's
impossible for there not to be.
Yeah, but Temptation Island is like the perfect petri dish of just absolute chaos.
Add alcohol to anything,
bro. If you still haven't seen it, man, you guys, I'm telling you.
I have to, again, the problem is I have to convince him, or I'll have to just watch it myself, is basically how it's going to have to go.
I'm telling you right now, she's going to love this show. She's going to love Temptation Island. Shit is cringy. It is fucking... we've also been watching Are You the One? So we've been binging that.
I've never heard of that one.
So it's an old MTV reality show.
Oh, God, MTV. Okay.
Yeah. It still airs, apparently.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So... basically what it is they take 10 or 11, depending on the season, 10 or 11 single guys and 10 or 11 single girls. They put them all in a house for a month, or for 10 weeks, sorry. And each week they got to make connections and they got to figure out who is their perfect match. So they basically go to the producers, they tell them what type of person they're attracted to, what they like in somebody, and then the producers, they grab singles and they try and make it so that each week they got to do competitions and they got to figure out. They go in a thing called the Truth Booth where they grab two people, and then the show lets them know if they're a perfect match or not. If they're a perfect match, then they get to go to the honeymoon suite and they stay there until the end of the show. And then if they get all 10 or all 11 couples, they win $1 million at the end of it. So
oh my God, they incentivize people pairing off with $1 million.
Yeah, but what's nice about it is, and not just the couple, the whole house wins the $1 million.
Yeah,
they gotta split it, right? So what's exciting about the show, where it causes drama, is people will go in there and they're going for what they're simply attracted to. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But they'll fall for this person and they'll get with the person, and then they'll be scared to go in the truth booth, because if they're not a match, they know that they can't really be together. They have to go and find their actual match. And so there's a lot of drama with like people not wanting to go in because they have a feeling maybe they're not a match, but they don't want it to end. But then other people want to win the money. So, and then there's other girls and other guys that are hoping that they're not a match because they're attracted or they want to go after these people. And dude, this real drama, like there's fist fights, there's fucking like, and it's all young people. So most of them are in their 20s or super early 30s. So it's just a bunch of hormones, and the amount of alcohol in this show, it's nonstop. I mean, it's a fucking drunken
trash
mess.
Just a trash heap.
Hot trash. And Kayla and I, we eat it up. We watch that shit every night. So
it depends on like how Em feels when she gets home, because the way that she described it to me at one point was like because we watch like Love Is Blind, and there's drama in Love Is Blind, but it's not like everyone's getting hammered type shit. And she was like, look, I gotta be honest with you, I work with mentally disturbed people for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week sometimes. I don't want to come home and watch a bunch of people that haven't been fucking thrown in a loony bin yet try and figure their shit out with alcohol and fuck around in their early 20s, because it's just all it is like watching being at work all over again, just like people that are completely out of their mind.
Temptation Island is the perfect medium. So if you enjoyed Love is Blind or you enjoyed that type of show, Temptation Island ramps up the drama, but it's still, they're old enough, like it's not a lot of 22-year-olds getting fucking hammered. These are like real couples that have been together for a long time, and you connect to certain people because you see yourself in them. And then they're just put to the test, man. Like any dude, like, and that's the other thing about the show, The Ultimatum, is usually it's one person that's really wanted to go to the show to give the ultimatum. And one
the other person doesn't.
Like, I didn't want to do this, but I'm doing this because like I don't want to lose this person. And I know they're the one for me, blah, blah. And it's usually the person that gets drug into the situation and they didn't want to do it. They're usually the ones that are like, fuck this relationship. I can't believe they're doing all this stuff. And then they fall for somebody else because they realize how bad they've been put into the situation or bad they've been treated. And they're just like, screw this. So, Temptation Island is very similar. Somebody wants to go on Temptation Island. The other couple, the other couple's crying like, oh, I don't want to be by myself. And 2-3 weeks in, and what's great about Temptation Island is they go to the bonfire, and what the producers do is they take these clips and they show the couple, somebody saying like, yeah, you know what? I don't think this person would be a great father. And then they hear that shit and they go, oh, they don't think I'd be a great father, huh? And there's people in the house, obviously, they're attracted to, and they're talking and they're connecting with, but they're holding themselves back because they don't want to cheat. And then they see this, and then they go back to the house like, hey, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to kiss this person. And then they kiss the person. They take that to the bonfire. They show the girl. And they're like, oh, that's why I said he wouldn't be a good father. Blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, she's sucking another dude off. And then the guy sees him sucking somebody off. Next thing you know it, he's going and smashing 2 chicks. And it's just it's an absolute drama-filled shit show. I love it.
Selling the shit out of this show now.
Temptation Island, man. I can't believe you haven't watched this. It's the best reality show. It's the best couple reality show I've ever seen.
You know what was kind of weird about the one on Netflix now? What's it called? Like the newest one. What was it called again? The
Ultimatum.
The Ultimatum. You know what was weird about that was that like the age of most of the people on the show. Like you would think that the demographic that's going to watch that would be people our age or a little bit like be 30, 35. They've been in a relationship for a long time, right? And they relate to it, but the people that apparently I haven't seen it, but what I've seen people talk about is that a lot of the people on the show that are participants are like just in their early 20s or some shit.
On the Ultimatum?
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them are. Some of them are in their most of them I would say mid 20s, mid to late 20s.
Oh, okay.
So 24 to 28, 29. I think there's like one 32-year-old or something.
Yeah.
And they all have the reasons for not wanting to get married. So like maybe one person just does not want kids, but the other person's like, I need to have kids.
Yeah.
Maybe one person's like, hey, I want to move in, but I don't want to move in with somebody if we're not married or blah, blah, blah. Or they all got these different reasons. They're young, but they're not kids. Are you the one? They're kids. Like they got out of university or they're in university.
Well, it's MTV. I mean, it's
MTV, right? That shit is just a drama-filled, drunken shit show, right? It's like a dorm room with a bunch of horny fucking 20-something-year-olds that are running rampant. Temptation Island is more on the mature side. Some serious shit. You got to watch that show, man.
You know what we did watch, or we have been watching though? I think it's called Old Enough, and it's this show from Japan.
Oh yeah, with the kids.
Where the kids are they're literally like 2 years and 3 months, and they're like, all right, here's your mission. They pull up the fucking map of like the area that they're in. And they're like, all right, we're going to send this 2-year-old on this trip to go get fucking groceries or some shit. And then they like show the path this kid's going to walk to and from. And there was one episode where this kid was like 2 years and like 9 months or some shit. And they had him walking 1 kilometer in both directions. Like on like busy streets and shit, sent him to a grocery store. The kid could barely put 4 words together. And like gets all like just this kid. I don't know how long it takes a 2-year-old to walk 1 kilometer. But by the time, better example, there was a small girl who was also with that age, had to go and get some stuff from like a farm or whatever. They were out in like way outside the cities. And it was nighttime when she was walking home. This child was by her. I mean, other than the camera crew, which is the only reason I suspect most of this is even fucking happening anyway.
Yeah.
Is that, and not in the sense that the camera crew is like helping them do shit, but like for safety purposes, there are adults.
Yeah, they're making sure
watching
some
them.
shit don't go down. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, is this kid like, I gotta go to the farm, and she spends like 3 hours trying to pull a cabbage out of the fucking ground, and then like gets home at like midnight, and she's like, Mom, I'm home. She's haggard as shit, hauling a cabbage that's as big as her entire torso. I got the cabbage. Ha! But you know what though? Fucking adorable. Last episode we watched was real young kid, 2 years and a couple months, and she helps mom at like their little restaurant or whatever where they deal in specifically this one type of fish. I can't remember what it is. And their uncle has the fish market down below where he farms and gives them the fish to use for the restaurant, like this family operation or whatever. And so all she has to do is like go down. It was a lot of steps or whatever, like a big staircase, but she goes down and she just has to go in to get this fish from the uncle and come back upstairs. And like 3 months before they air this, her father had passed away. And like her mother told her this like story about how her father is now went away, but he's now like watching over her in the form of like birds that will fly over, and so if you look up and you're seeing a bird, that's dad. And she I swear to God, like she's going out and there's a fucking like hawk out of nowhere. There's like no reason for this hawk to be here. This one hawk, and it was like a movie. I was watching a Ghibli, like a Studio Ghibli movie or some shit. And they're like looking up, and the narrator's going on about how it's obviously dad, and this kid's looking up like talking to this bird and shit and whatever, and then she's like crying, she doesn't know if she can do it, and the mom's like, dad's watching over you and the bird is there, and I was like fucking on the verge of bawling my eyes out. This kid's going down the fucking stairs, is scared to go inside the fish, like the fish building because it's dark, and the uncle is inside, he can see her, she can't see him, and he was told not to go get her, right? And it is killing him to not go because she's crying at the fucking like doorway because she's scared and doesn't want to go inside because it's too dark. And it is eating him up inside. And finally he goes over and like helps her get in, and like she gets the fish. And again, this fish is bigger than this kid's entire fucking body. And she's gonna drag it up the stairs. And every time she takes it up the stairs, her foot comes over and fucking kicks this fish in the fucking head. So by the time she got all the way up the stairs, this fish was haggard as fuck. It's just like beat to shit. But like everyone's like so proud of this kid. The whole community is like patting her on the back, and I was like, this is the most wholesome shit I've seen in my life. And so we've been watching that, and I swear to God, if you need some wholesome shit, first of all, I don't know a single North American child going to be doing anywhere. I was shitting myself until I was 13 years old. These kids are like 2 years old going on fucking like journeys by themselves and like using words that I didn't even know existed until I was 5. You got some fucking different animal. If you want some
wholesome stuff, watch that show. But you don't. Watch Temptation Island.
You couldn't get two opposite ends of the spectrum. Maybe you watch Temptation Island, and then if you need some eye bleach,
there you go.
You go and you watch Old Enough, and that's what you want to do. It sounds cruel because I'm like exacerbating it a little bit, because the reality is all of these kids are living in like villages outside of the main cities. They're not sending a 2-year-old in Tokyo on like a fucking journey. Skyscrapers, 6,000 people.
It's controlled.
It's like it's out, and like it's cute because you'll see like because they are small villages, and so all the adults know each other, right? And so they know this day is coming, and so you'll see the adults all outside their own individual shops, like cheering these little kids, like this little kid on. It's like the whole community is like watching this kid from a distance, trying to do the thing, and it's just fucking adorable. It's one of this fucking wholesome shit. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. It's now time to move on to
tech support.
Patreon.com/lagtv is where you want to go if you want to ask us some questions. $10 more a month gets you a couple of perks. Chiefly, you get to ask us some questions for the segment we call Tech Support, where we do just that. We answer the questions that you have in the time that we have to answer them. This week, what do we got here? Alexa, hey guys, I'm looking to visit Halifax with my better half this summer. I know you guys aren't traveling agents, but what are the must-see places to visit in Halifax? Bonus points for lesser-known places and restaurants. What are the places that you would bring a friend if he came for a week? Mr. Black, what do you got? Put on your travel agent hat. Coming to Halifax, Nova Scotia.
I would say places to visit.
Well, the downtown, so like the waterfront.
Waterfront's
So
always a nice place to
It's
go.
a good spot. You
Yep.
can go to Peggy's Cove.
Yeah, just don't go in the Black Rocks. We already had 2 people who are in critical condition pulled out of the water.
No, one died.
Oh, one died. Okay, so I lied.
Yeah.
One's dead.
Yeah.
Don't stand on the Black Rocks. There's lots of signs for that. Just listen to the
Yeah,
signs.
please do not go out there. Some other good spots.
You can go to so Peggy's Cove is one, the waterfront's another. If you're on the waterfront, you know the things to do if you're just making an afternoon of it there. If you're not looking to do fancy dining or whatever, if you're looking for fancier stuff on the waterfront, Bicycle Thief is a common place for people to go. If you're looking for just like, I just want some street foodie type stuff, then you can get Smokes Poutineery is down on the waterfront oftentimes. If you're looking for desserty stuff, Beaver Tails is often there in a good spot.
Come on, man.
And then Cow's, that was the last one I was going to finish up with, Cow's Ice Cream. And if you're going to pick one, Cow's Ice Cream is definitely the way to go, I would say. As far as like restaurants, I would tell people, if you're a big sushi person, my favorite sushi joint in the entire city is Minato, which is on Queen Street, where Queen Street and Spring Garden, is it Spring Garden? Queen Street and Spring Garden? I think it's Spring Garden. They're on that. It's hard to miss. It's a pink. The front of the building's painted pink, unless they changed that color in the last little bit. And that's my favorite spot for sushi in the city. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, we've got a bajillion fucking restaurants here of anything that you would want to have. But I would say that Bicycle Thief is hard to not, like, it might not be the best in the city, but it's like, if you want to just have some decent food and not pay through the nose, it's probably the place to go, because you get to sit out on the boardwalk too if you have the opportunity, and it's nice down there. Yeah, other than that, it's Peggy's Cove. It's the waterfront. You could go visit the Citadel if they have their events running there, so you can learn a little piece of Halifax history if you're into that kind of thing. It's not really long, which is nice. Like if you're just downtown, you just want to take like 45 minutes out of your time to learn about the Citadel in the middle of the city. That's another opportunity for you. And otherwise, if you were, for whatever reason, going outside the city beyond Peggy's Cove, you have to drive a little bit of a ways before you get to anything like really worth seeing, and it depends on what you're looking for. But most of the stuff really outside the city that isn't Peggy's Cove is fall time stuff. So summer months, not so much. You'd be going for fall time. If you're big on wine, there's a ton of wineries, though, that are within an hour drive from Halifax. So they have restaurants on site where you can do wine tastings and all that stuff. Pete's Winery, Pete Luckett's Winery, is really popular for that, and there's a couple of others. You can go and check that stuff out. Otherwise, yeah, you have to go a long ways, and it's usually fall time stuff for like outside the city, outside of those kind of activities, I would say, and that's about most of what I can think of.
Yep.
For sure. If you're down here in the waterfront, it's busker season, even better, because you'll have some shows while you're down there, and it'll be a bumping spot, for sure. What Oh, okay. This is a random question, but all right, we'll see what answer we got for this. Mark Furry, is there something that is probably less than pretty in your house, so not very nice to look at, but you're actually legit happy about? So his example is he has a bland metal IKEA shelf that I put in my laundry room that makes things way more organized. Do you have anything that's around the house that's like not particularly pleasant to look at per se, but you love it all the same for what it does for you?
My squatty potty, man. My squatty potty. It's not, it's not the most pleasant thing to look at, but I love it.
Helps you go. That's the gift of God right there. If you got the aid of bowel movements, that is.
Oh, I got the aid all right. I probably don't even need the fucking.
That's true. You don't need the squatty potty right now. You don't need that. I don't. Man, I sold so much of my shit when I moved back here, pre-pandemic stuff, that I don't have a lot left at this point. So honestly, I don't know if I've got. I don't know if I've got any. I'll say this. I'll say this because M doesn't like it. I've got my like my trunk, which is like a chest kind of thing that I bought when I first moved out of here back in 2012 to double as a coffee table, but it's like things to like store inside of it. So it's like an actual like old trunk type deal, and it's got the brass fittings on it, and it's got like faux
It's a trunk.
stickers and shit, trunk type deal. And I had that as my coffee table. I still have it, and I store a bunch of shit in it because it's got tons of room, which is like super useful in a living room when you don't want shit just sitting out all the time. Am fucking hates it, and so that's gonna have to go somewhere. I don't know, but I like it. I don't think it's the prettiest thing in the world, but I have all of my retro games, all my retro consoles. Everything is in there. Xbox, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, Nintendo 64, all the cables, all the games, all the controllers, all in that fucking trunk, and it just chills there, and it doubles as a coffee table. So there you go. J. Kim, you guys got some interesting questions this week. What's the first sign of paranormal activity to make you peace out of the house forever? So you're in a house, whether you're, maybe you're not buying it, because once you bought it, you're kind of fucked anyway. But like, let's say it's a bed and breakfast somewhere. You're on a little trip. Paranormal activity starts cropping up. What's the first thing that happens where you finally decide, nope, fuck this place. I'm going to the Quality Inn down the road.
Shit. I don't really think about that.
What is the thing that would happen that you'd be like, some people might be like, oh, there's, house sounds and things that can happen where some people are like, oh, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
For me, house sounds and stuff never bother me because my grandmother's, the house is like nearly 200 fucking years old, makes sounds constantly, but some people, that freaks them out. So that wouldn't bother me. Like, maybe for me, the thing that would, like, if I need to get the fuck out, if I start hearing voices and shit, like if I'm hearing disembodied voices, if I either like hear disembodied voices or I'm starting to see some like shadowy figure type shit walking around the room, my ass is gone.
Well, yeah, I'm not gonna stick around.
My ass is gone. Everything up to that point, I'm usually okay. Like if I'm hearing like footsteppy type sounds and stuff, like fucking like whatever. Like, go. You do river dance. You Michael LaFlatley your ass all you want upstairs. I don't give a shit. But if I start hearing like disembodied voices, or if I see some like shadowy type shit, I'm getting the fuck. I don't care. I was Shady in chat saying hallucinations could explain that shit. If I'm hallucinating, I don't care. I'm not one
Listen,
for...
man, if I'm hearing voices downstairs, I'm not going to go, oh, I'm just hallucinating. I'm going to go back to sleep. I'm going to go grab a shotgun, and I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to say, hey, what the fuck is going on down here? That's what's going to happen.
It does, I'm not saying those things make anything paranormal real, per se. I'm just saying those are the things that, like, if I can't explain them, and I'm hearing people, like, I'm hearing voices and shit, that's not going to be, and I'm not one for, like, I don't have sleep paralysis or I don't have like night terrors or anything like that. So if I'm seeing shit, either I licked a toad right before bed or I'm actually seeing some shit. So yeah, no, I'd be up the fuck out of there for sure. Mark Furry with a follow-up, Mr. Black. I don't know if it actually happened because he didn't get the ice cream cake, but he's asking for a sorbet update.
I got it that same night, man. Got a big fucking jug of it. It's triple berry. And we got one bowl full left. So I'm gonna eat that tonight. We've been killing it. Kayla been eating it. I've been eating it. Kai's been eating it. It's delicious.
It's a big hit then.
Oh, it was amazing.
Big hit. So what's the three berries? Is it like raspberry, like blackberry?
Yeah, and strawberry, I think.
Strawberry or something like that?
Not blackberry. It's raspberry, strawberry, and blueberry.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
That. Yeah.
Sounds good. And clearly it was. You guys crushed it within the week.
Yep.
A Dent asks, what's the best pasta shape, Mr. Black?
Bow tie.
That's a good choice.
Yep.
I'm a big penne guy. I like penne for just about anything. It holds the sauce really well, whether you're doing like a red sauce or you're doing a green sauce or anything like that. It always works well, and I like the texture of the penne pasta. As I've gotten older, I like spaghetti, but I'm not like the world's biggest spaghetti fan. I'd almost always rather some other form of noodle. But bow tie is a good choice too. Hold sauce real. That's the secret, and that's why spaghetti only works for certain things. Is you got to hold that sauce. You can't. Nobody wants dry pasta.
No.
You need it saucy on the way up. Need that shit to be saucy. Seth asks, worst visit to the dentist, question mark? You ever had a bad dentist experience?
Yeah. Just before I got braces, I had to do the stuff that you got to do before braces. So you got to get cleaning, you got to get fillings done, or any of the shit that
sometimes they have to remove teeth if they think they're going to get in the way of like your, You didn't have to do that, but yeah.
I did.
Oh, did you have some removed?
My wisdom teeth. I had to get all
okay. Yeah.
Anyway, that part I didn't really care about because I was out cold and I just woke up, they're gone, so I didn't really feel much.
Yeah.
But it was the appointment that I got before the braces where there was so much shit that they had to do that we had to do it in 3 days. So it actually ended up being 2 days. They ended up getting a lot more done. But I was there for like 4 hours each day, and they basically had to make it so that they would do like sections of my mouth. So I had a bunch of fillings. They had to clean my teeth because I had been to the dentist, but like I hadn't done anything extensive for years, like since I was a kid. And there I was, like in my early 20s, getting all this stuff done. Like I'd go for the occasional cleaning and stuff, but like never had any major dental work. And I would go years between cleanings, like official cleanings. So like it'd be like 3-4 years since I've been to the dentist. And I was like, I'd get toothaches and stuff. I'd be like, I'd probably go to the dentist. And I'd go to the dentist and I'd be like, you got a cavity. So yeah, when I did that, it was just like everything was fucked, man. My gums were bleeding, my fucking teeth were sore. And I already hate the dentist, and they had to work on basically every quadrant of my mouth. So they were putting needles in my gums and numbing shit up, and then they would have like almost like a fucking dental dam for your goddamn mouth in your mouth, and my mouth be all pried up. And I don't like people in my face to begin with. Like even if Kayla and I are just chilling, even if Kayla and I are just chilling, and she's like, "Oh, baby, how you doing?" And her face is like right here. I'm like, just
dude, M is like really hands-on, which I've never been a problem with. Like I'm a cuddler, but I'm like you, up in here.
Nah,
and she has this thing where she likes to cover my mouth and my nose, or she'll like pinch my nose and stuff. And like I have a visceral reaction every time. I have like, you need to, unless you want to get thrown across the room.
Yeah.
You need to just like know like, everything from the here down, but like here up.
Yeah.
Slow
I mean,
down.
I'm just weird. I'm weird. I guess I'm not that weird because I'm sure there's other people that just don't like. I'm not even a big kisser. Like I don't even really like kissing. Like Kayla bugs me all the time. She's like, "Give me some sugar," you know. I'm like, "Okay, fine," and I'll kiss. Like I just don't like things in my face. It has nothing to do with her or anybody. I've always been like that. I'm also the same if we're laying in bed and I can just like barely feel her foot touch my leg or something. I hate that shit.
Oh, I have to be very specific when I'm sleeping.
Yeah, like if you're like, you know, even if we're just chilling, like watching a movie, and I can just feel her leg like just slightly grazing against mine, shit drives me nuts. You can put your leg on top of me, you know, you can do that. I don't like small grazing. I don't.
It's gotta be committed. It's gonna be all the way.
It's gotta be committed. So yeah, the dentist thing was horrible. They had my mouth open. People were in my face. They had tools and shit in there. Clamps and fucking metal thing and the sounds. I just hate the dentist.
The sounds are the worst.
That's the show. I go to dentist one time a year. I get cleaning. I haven't had a cavity in a while, and I just do that because if I just let it go for years, I know where it's going. It's going to be me back in that chair, and it's going to be salty. I had to get a crown done like
not that long ago,
4 months ago, and even that sucked. You know, getting that shit done. So not fun. And it's expensive. There's just nothing good about the dentist. I dated a girl that loved going to the dentist. Fucking loved it. Every time she's like, I got a dentist appointment. She'd go there like every quarter. She'd just go to the dentist. She's like, I love the feel of them scrape my teeth. And I love the feeling of the teeth when you're done it. I'm like, man, you crazy as hell.
The sounds are the worst because it's like going through your jawbone into your ears. So like if they're scraping, you're not really hearing necessarily so much the sound coming out of your mouth. You're hearing it go like hit your jawbone and go into your ear. And it's just such an uncomfortable sound. Even if there's no pain associated with it, there's like something about that sound that makes you still wince.
Yep.
Because it's like an unnatural fucking sound. You're like, but then you get, like you said, you got like a fucking dental dam prying your mouth open. Yeah, it's a bad time. I've thankfully not had any really terrible experiences at the dentist. I've never had a cavity in my life. I never went the braces route, so I never had like anything associated with that was bad. The only like when I was younger, they did have to pull a tooth at one point, and it wasn't a bad experience. It was just a weird experience where the injection is the worst part of the whole thing because a needle in your gums is just ass. And then all I can remember is the distinct sound that it made when they pulled the tooth. And it was like a pop, like this really loud pop sound, and you felt the release in your jaw even though you didn't feel pain. And it was so weird. Like it just gives you shivers just fucking thinking about that shit. I hate when they use the fucking pick though. Because I only occasionally floss. My teeth are so fucking tight that I hate flossing, and miraculously I still don't have even a hint of a cavity. But then what it means is when I go in and like my gums aren't tough because I don't floss.
No, it's bleed central, man.
So I go in there, it's like a war zone. You're coming out of there and you're feeling, you're all fucked up, you're bleeding, you're like, hey, yo, Adrian! Not super pleasant, but nothing terrible. I haven't had like catastrophic dental experiences. Logan asks, you're given unlimited resources, how would you make the world a better place? Buy Twitter. That's step one. Unlimited resources, I'm going to buy Twitter to make the world a better place. And then step two, I don't know. I think like you can't buy your way out of everything. A lot of shit that's like people probably pick on are actually like rooted culturally more than just financially, and so it's a bit of a hard thing to just walk in and spend money and then magically make it better, which is why in many places where entire voting systems or trying to change a country that's not traditionally democratic into a democratic country doesn't just magically fucking happen overnight and democracy just fixes everything. Like there's a lot of cultural stuff that makes things difficult that money can't fix. So I would say like, step one, like one of the biggest hurdles to get rid of would be making mass transport ubiquitous and free. So anyone that wants to go or needs to go to work downtown or whatever else, you don't need to rely on being stuck in traffic forever. Reliable on-time service that you don't have to pay like $80 to $120 or whatever more a month to get to your work and get home in a timely manner. So that you get to working centers and not have to pay as much money for being so close to the downtown core is a huge, like, in the socioeconomic strata of any area, like being able to own a vehicle allows you to get further outside the city, which is like coincidentally counterintuitive to outside the city is less expensive for housing than inside the city. So you've got this juxtaposition of if you're in the city, you don't need a car to get to work, but most people can't afford to fucking live in the city because it's so expensive. And then if you go outside the city, you got to be able to like have a house, but then also have a car. And so if you get the public transit locked in, I think that gets rid of a lot of economic issues right off the rip. Beyond that, I don't know. That's a really hard, really long-winded question to try and answer, but I would say that buy Twitter and then go right for public transport being ubiquitous and free of charge in perpetuity for people is probably a not awful way to get things going.
What's the question exactly?
If you had unlimited resources, how would you go about trying to make the world a better place?
I probably wouldn't. And that might sound mean. It's not. I don't believe that money can make the world a better place, personally. There's tons of money out there. I'm not saying you can't do good things with money, but to make such an impact, like saying it's something like unlimited resources, like what exactly is unlimited resources? Is it $1 billion? Is it $100 billion?
It's on billion, meaning like, yeah, which is what, like, you're getting rid of it. You're getting rid of the hurdle.
Yeah, it's like, because doing something on such a massive scale, like even something like public transportation, you can't just kind of go in there and create public transportation. There's a lot of bylaws and there's just so much shit that's just out of your control that like you just can't control. It's a nice thought, but there's just so much shit that doesn't matter how much money you have, you can't necessarily, like, you're never going to change, you're never going to solve world hunger. You're never going to solve, these things. Doesn't mean you can't try and contribute to some degree. And I think that's very honorable. But I think what I would do and what I do now, I would do the same thing I do now, is even if it doesn't matter if I have the money I have today or $1 billion, is I would help the people that are close to me and my community. And I would try and create things to, make people's lives a little bit more pleasant. Not necessarily trying to change how I think the world should be. As in, like, I'm going to create this massive infrastructure. Like, I'm going to go and build a bunch of schools and, education's going to be free. Like, it's much, much harder to do that than, I'm sure there are plenty of billionaires or multi-millionaires that's got way more money than they can ever dream of. You can't just go and build. This isn't Africa. You can't just go somewhere and just build a massive infrastructure in your own backyard. It just doesn't work like that. You can do certain things for sure. So if it was me, I wouldn't necessarily try to make the world a better place. I would just try and make the people that are close to me and my community a better place in some sort of way, if that makes sense. Like, trying to solve world issues, it's far too big. And let's be real, one billionaire isn't going to put a dent into really any major issues, like, world hunger or
I don't think
poverty or
they're not saying billionaire. They're just saying if it's an enormously vague hypothetical. It's like, what do you think?
People say unlimited money, right? Like, to somebody that could be $1 billion. I mean, $1 billion to me is almost unlimited amount of money.
I mean, if we're just talking unlimited money, I mean, then that's
But I mean, even if I had a blank check with like I could put a gazillion dollars on there, you only can still do so much. There's only so much that you can actually legally do. I mean, and then it becomes also a thing where I feel, and not everybody's like this, but I feel when you've got that mindset and you want to change the world, it then becomes more of, I think you're only serving your own, I don't want to say ego, but it's almost like you've got a God complex where it's like, I am creating all of this. And it's a little off-putting, and people think just because somebody's got a lot of money, it's like they should spend all their money on this, and that. They don't really understand what money can only go so far. Like, money is only part of most problems. It's not just money. That's the thing. Money can't solve what people think it can solve.
Yeah, which is why I was saying it's
money,
like cultural.
It actually makes things worse. Exactly. Yeah. A lot of it is cultural. Yeah. A lot of it is like, it's deep seated. Money is just, it's a vehicle and it can help, but it's not going to solve an issue. It's like taking somebody that has got a really bad spending habit and spends all of their money all the time, no matter what. They can just never get it. And then they get a raise, like a substantial raise. Like, say they were making $40,000 a year, and now they're making $400,000 a year.
if they've got a massive spending problem, it's literally not going to change their life. They're just going to spend all of that money as well. And it doesn't really change the core issue, and it's your behavior. It's behavioral. It's you need to go at the core before the money can actually be used in the proper way where it actually has a positive impact. I don't know if any of that made sense, but
no, I get what you're saying. I think I think Logan also chose the word resources really specifically too, where I don't think it's like just a money thing. It's like if you just had unlimited resources. But like the way that I look at it too is that while, and I agree, which is why I framed my answer the way that I did. You know, because for example, public transport is something that even in the current goings on, pretty much every government everywhere is attempting to do some form of usable public transport. It just seems to always get fucked on for a million different reasons. One, because it's expensive. Ultimately, money seems to be the public transport's biggest hurdle. The way I look at it too is this: is like in a lot of instances you don't even need to have unlimited resources to do a lot of stuff. The mechanisms are already there, and that's why I say it's cultural. So, like for example, there are when a law gets in the way of something or somebody's goals, and when I say somebody, it could be an individual that's very wealthy that's looking to get something done, or more usually a corporation of some kind, a multinational, international entity of some kind is looking to get something done. They have an endless fucking horde of lobbyists that get laws done in their favor. That's kind of how it works. That's a cultural thing. That's not necessarily something that money makes go away if you just have money. You also have to deal with the fact that the whole lobbyist thing is a problem in and of itself. So there's lots of money to go around as it is already. The fact
too much money. It's like it's endless.
The fact that things haven't happened should tell you that of all the resources, money is rarely the problem, right? There's lots of that going around. It's more of trying to convince people that have not only the money, because it's not always money, but it's also power, and there's enormous structures in any governance. Both internal and external in terms of like corporate influence on a political structure and otherwise, is you've got a lot of gears, and they're all run by people that all have individual interests. And unless you've magically managed to find a utopia where you have a whole bunch of people that are incredibly altruistic that can all work towards singular goals, it's very difficult to get things done. It's exactly why, we'll use examples close to home here, where a lot of what stagnated this province, specifically in this city, is that, and this isn't unique to here, but I'm just using ours because it's our experience, is that a lot of the progress in many of the sectors here in Nova Scotia have spun their tires in the mud for decades, because what will happen is you'll have like the Liberals are in for 4 years, and they press the start button on something. They manage to pass something and choose whatever that would be. And then their term runs up, and usually within that 4 years, 4 years, sometimes if they're lucky, they'll get a couple more years out of it. Then the Conservatives will come in, the opposing party. And one of the things is that no two parties seemingly can accept that the other party did anything successful. They have to claim it for their own. And so they'll usually sabotage whatever the beginning of that was, and you lose 2 steps to it to try and get forward again in that process. So much cultural shit is way more influential than just money. Money is definitely one of the smaller pieces of the resource puzzle. However, you can do an awful lot with an awful lot of money, and clearly you can, otherwise lobbyists and stuff wouldn't exist to bypass laws or get them changed in your favor. But yeah, a lot of the stuff that people think would just instantly work, very challenging. I would definitely say transport is one. I would definitely say that based on the benefits that have been studied for a very long time by a lot of different entities over the years, that countries that do have more ubiquitous and more freely available, cheaper or free in quotation marks, subsidized in entirety or otherwise education tend to have greater benefits than those that entirely privatize it. And so there are certain things that I think we've had, the world has been around long enough, and certain political structures and ways of living have been around long enough that we know certain things that are useful. but money doesn't solve all of it. Very difficult. But for me, buy Twitter, free public transportation, and make the public transport not suck. Which usually, and the reason why I chose it again is because money is usually the problem for public transport. Is nothing else. Like,
yeah, I mean, listen. To answer your question, if you had a gun to my head and you said what would I use it for, I would use it for the healthcare system. I would.
That's another easy one because again, that's usually money.
Yeah. And usually money, usually money when it comes to healthcare will actually have some
actual benefit.
Exactly.
Can you pay your doctors market rate to keep them here?
You might not be able to build
problems.
Hospitals, but you most certainly can pay to have the best doctors. You can pay for people's health care. You know, there's a lot of stuff that you can pay for, and I think everybody deserves to live a healthy life, no matter where their background. So, I guess if I had to throw unlimited resources somewhere, I guess that's probably where I'd put it.
Where are we? We got time for one more. Excuse me. Oh, last one. This is a good one. Comes in from Roarin. I don't think you do, but I'm sure you might consider one in the future. It sounds like something you might randomly get interested in. Adam, congrats on buying your house. Thank you. Question for you guys: do either of you have a smoker? Like a meat smoker is what he's referring to. And if you do, what do you like smoking? If you don't, is it something that you would be interested in purchasing? And what would be your first meat that you would smoke? Have you ever considered a smoker for the back deck?
I thought about getting one of those like green eggs.
Yes, those are the popular ones.
Smokers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just like Kayla would end up using it, and I'm not really much of a cook or a smoke. I just set up a barbecue today. So that's basically that. Definitely something I would consider getting, and I would be a pulled pork guy. I'd love to, get some pulled pork going.
Delicious.
Yeah. Maybe I'll get a smoker at some point, but yeah, nah.
I've never personally considered it. When it comes to like doing food at home, I'm not patient with it. They're like the only patience that I have is like, or if like in the future I'm doing like a Christmas or a Thanksgiving kind of a dinner situation, then you got to be patient. You got to have that turkey. You can't not have a turkey in this household. So, and that takes some time. But like smokers, it's like you are dedicated to that shit. You're setting it up. You're getting it going. You're tending to it at least occasionally, and that shit's in there from anywhere from 3 to 12 fucking hours cooking. And yeah, it tastes good on the other end. But you know what the reality is for me? I'm not like the majority of what people smoke is like red meats, various red meats. Some people will smoke, chicken or pork and things of that nature as well. I consider pork to be more or less red meat, but I'm not a huge red meat guy. Like I'm not somebody that eats so much red meat that that would necessitate a smoker to get the most use out of it. I eat more fish and more chicken than I do red meat. And so yeah, you could smoke chicken, but it's not like the first thing on my list of things that I need to spend $6,000 on a green egg to smoke some chicken. So not my number one. I do like smoked foods. They are delicious, clearly. But I would rather just leave that up to somebody that knows what the fuck they're doing. And occasionally when I get the need for it, go and spend a couple of bucks, get somebody else to do it. If you're in Montreal, you already got access to some of the best smoked meats around, for example. And leave that up to the experts. I'm not going to sit at home with my apron and pretend I know what the fuck I'm doing with a smoker.
I'm not going to lie, man. I've had a little bit of an epiphany in the last few months. And the epiphany is I haven't been living my life at all. At all.
Well, most people would also be in that category.
Straight up fucking work, sleep, work and sleep.
Yep.
Worry, work, worry, sleep, worry. Probably like 99% of most people out there.
Yeah.
All right. But as of late, I've been I've been leaving the house. I've been doing shit. I've been going out in nature. I've been fucking
nature.
I've been walking. I've been
walking.
I've been just like, I don't know what the fuck has been going on with me lately. But I'm not angry about it. And you know what? just the thought of getting a smoker, I might just go out and grab one. this week. And next podcast, I might tell you how it
Smoked
went.
sorbet
Because
on the menu.
you know what? I'm feeling adventurous. I want to just go and do shit that I normally just wouldn't do. And a lot of this shit I've been enjoying. So like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm an impatient guy too. I don't like cooking. But you know what? Maybe I'm going to get a smoker. And maybe I'll go outside on my back deck. Shit, I might grab a cigar. I don't even smoke cigars. I might have a cigar.
Smoking everything.
Fuck yeah, man. Can get some whiskey on the rocks, have a cigar, get a smoker.
Oh my god, dude, that'd be so much.
Bro, I just might sit out there for the full duration of the smoke. I might just go out there and smoke, sit on my laptop, chill, sit in a hot tub, go out there, check my smoke. This might happen because it just sounds like a good time. So I think I might do it.
There you go. It could happen. Are you going to go full out, get the green egg? That shit ain't cheap.
Fuck it. Why not? I mean, what is it? $1,000?
No, more like $6 grand.
What? $6,000 for a green egg? I probably won't be getting that. Let me see. Green egg smoker.
That might be.
Let me see here.
Unless they've got really small ones or some shit that are way cheaper.
What is it? It's called the Big Green Egg? Yeah, here it is.
Something like that.
Let me see your history.
I don't think it's $1 grand.
Recipes.
It might even be more expensive than that.
Oh, no, that's who knows in the chat? Who knows the price of these things? The big.
I don't think you just walk into a Walmart and buy one of those bad boys. I'm pretty sure you got to order that directly from the company.
Really?
Oh,
Big
maybe
green.
there are some suppliers that have it. I don't know. I'm pretty sure there's somewhere between the $6K plus. I think you can
Okay, here we go. 1 sec. Is this?
I think
Okay,
you-
Big Green Egg large original kit. So there's different versions. There's one
Okay.
here for $2,100.
All right, that's
seeing
almost
one.
reasonable.
Yeah, I'm seeing
Is
one
that
here
is that
for 20.
Canadian?
That's Canadian.ca.
Okay.
Yeah. Barbecuesgalore.ca. They got Big Green Egg large original, $2,999.99.
It's not horrific.
It's not horrific. It's still
up there.
It's something that makes me go, you know what? Do I really need a smoker?
The answer is how much smoking are you doing for $2,100?
You know, here's the cape. If it's $2 grand, I'll basically what I'll need to do is I'm gonna need to eat something from one of these, and then when I eat it, and if it's delicious, I pull the trigger. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I think that's where I'm at. So
all right. Now you need to find somewhere to get something.
yeah, I'll go and try and ask me again next week, and I'll figure it out.
Hey, you made good on the sorbet. Who knows what next week will bring?
Hey, it is what it is, man. I'm in the process of building a home gym, man. So that's where I'm at right now.
That's the next one.
I'm just spending money, bro. This last 6 months, I've spent more money in the last 6 months than I think I've spent in the last fucking 3 years.
Where's the home gym going?
It's going in both our old podcast room and in the other room. So
are you removing the wall? Can you get rid of that wall?
I'm not getting. I thought about it, but we've got a bunch of wires and shit in there from running the sounds and stuff.
Oh,
but basically,
true.
the way I'm doing it is like one room is gonna be all for basically like cardio and
podcast room would be better for that because it's kind of small in comparison to the other room.
Yeah, well, the gym that I'm getting, it's like a massive.
One of those multi.
Yeah, so it's like
do everything.
It's got a Smith machine, that one that can go like vertical and horizontal.
Oh, okay.
And then it's also got like the straps and this thing is the cream.
Where are you getting it from? The place over in Dartmouth, ordering it in from there, or
from
Spartan Fitness?
And they order it from their headquarters in Ontario. We're just waiting for it to come in. But yeah, I need to get in shape. Like I need to work out. I think it's part of my stomach issues too. Is like
You're
my
sedentary, bro.
I'm getting older. So yeah, I've just decided that's going to be the show. So I'm ordering all that. They're going to give me a good deal. So I just got to tell them because I got to buy a bunch of plates and fucking like I'm going full out. Like it's going to be you're about to spend fucking 15 grand on that shit. Well, the machine itself it'll be 10 just for the machine.
And then the rest of the weights will be
And then
about $5
weight,
grand.
the flooring, all that mirrors.
Because I think
everything.
currently weight is like over $2 a pound.
Yeah,
I think
it's something stupid. So anyway,
Yeah.
I'm feeling venturous. Maybe I'm gonna get this green egg.
Cardio and green egg room.
Yeah, I sold a couple of houses last year. I said, okay, you know what? Tax man just bent me over. That's what it is. When I get fucked by the tax man, and they fucked me, man, like 6-figure fucking.
Of course.
Like, fuck me hard, dude.
Well, when you make more money, they tax you more.
I was like, God damn, bro. And so I said, all right, you know what? Fine. If you're gonna take a fat chunk of this, I'm gonna spend some damn money. We're getting our driveway paved. I bought that fucking projector. Got a gym coming. Shit. I did cancel the piano though. I bought this piano.
Really?
I canceled it. I said I couldn't. It's like, no, I ain't get that kind of money. I ordered the piano. The piano finally came in, and I had to choose between the piano or the driveway. And if I chose the piano over the driveway, bro,
Kayla would have killed you, bro.
She would have been pissed, and I would have been mad at myself. So I said, you know what? Okay, you can't buy both. You're not,
Whether you're shoveling or plowing, it doesn't matter. A paved driveway is a fucking much easier time than gravel.
And I did it because there's like 4 other people in our neighborhood that are getting it done, so we can get a discount if like a bunch of people are doing it at once. So I said, okay, now's the time. Like I'm getting it super cheap. We don't have to pay tax. And we get a discount because the truck's already there, so that like saves a few grand.
Fuck,
so I was like,
that's
all right,
awesome.
I'm just gonna do it.
That's the dream. Yeah, we're gonna eventually on our place. We're eventually gonna widen ours so that in the future, both units have a place to put a car where you don't have to play musical cars and fucking
that's the worst.
because it wouldn't be so
time. Like the winter ban, you can't park on the street. It's like fuck.
And that's really the reason, because if that wasn't a problem, then you wouldn't be so worried about it. It wouldn't be a big deal. But like because of the winter parking bans, you got to have something. So yeah, that will be one of the first projects too, is putting some pave down. But ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Mr. Black has a meeting to get to.
I do.
Which means
it's literally in 6 minutes.
In 6 whole minutes, we'll let him get out of here, and we will see you guys next week. And until then, thank you very much once again for stopping by and listening. Let some people know about the podcast if you think they'll enjoy it. And we'll see you guys next week. And until then, stay safe. Peace.
Peace.